In today's episode, I'm interviewing Shaunak Bhide, who is the founder and CEO of NewDeal Network, a company that helps startups with their go-to-market strategy and their sales teams. Shaunak, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Lee. Pleasure to be here and great to talk to you about my passion project, which I've been working on for the past few months,
Awesome.
which is enhancing the go-to-market or the sales teams for startups and companies alike, various brands. It's called New Deal Network.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm super excited to chat to you about this because, so startups especially, sales is quite difficult, especially if you have founders who are technical and not don't have any like sales experience or people who even come from a marketing background. They might be good at getting the leads, but then converting on them, it's quite challenging. But before we dive into that, what I'd like to know from you is a little bit about your background and your story leading up to when you started working on this project.
So I spent my entire life in tech. I was with a company called SAP and that was my first job, and worked there for 17 years. Worked in various roles, but been in sales and go-to-market in general, both indirect as well as direct sales, for about a decade plus. My career spanned across India, UK, and here now in Singapore for the last 12 years. And I left SAP just at the beginning of COVID, so before peak COVID had hit. So May 2020 was when I quit SAP to become an entrepreneur. And my entrepreneur journey was obviously, as you will come across other founders and other people that you would typically read about, a lot of ups and downs. More downs than ups, but there were a few ups. So it's one of those things that I'm passionate about, just general. And even when I'm full-time employed by another company, I would have a side gig or a passion project that's going on, and then that's how even New Deal was brought in. But just to give you a kind of a bit of a glimpse of my startup journey, I tried on various ideas, including picking up a check from one of the angels for a project I was working on before joining Antler in the SG8 batch. That was circa 2021. And it's, had a phenomenal experience with Antler. We founded an insurtech startup at the time, which was an e-commerce space called Return Genie, that was funded by Antler. That's where I met my co-founders at the time, Queenie and Mick as well. And coincidentally, the co-founder that I have on New Deal Network, Adrian, we met each other in Antler and we're part of the SG8 group. Now, this was one of the strange COVID batches where we had very little face-to-face interaction, although
Mm.
most of them were based in Singapore. But we did manage to stay in touch and kind of exchange ideas, exchange on the problems you're trying to solve. And here we are, connected via Antler, but continuing that journey beyond Antler funding or even Antler kind of sponsorship as such.
That's amazing, man. Sounds like a really, like you said, a journey that goes up and down all over, right? So you said that your first startup with Antler, you had got funded, but what happened to that startup?
So this was, like I mentioned, it was an insurtech startup focusing on e-commerce returns. So essentially, there was focusing on solving a problem of returns in e-commerce, which is still a huge problem
Mhm.
for companies to solve, not just startups. Whereby, as much as there's crazy statistic around it, but if a return number of returns exceeded 30%, any e-commerce startup would be sort of brought to its knees or even
Mhm.
brought into ground, because the cost of handling those returns is just crazy. And
Mhm.
I don't know about you, but at the time we all had issues with returns, because whenever you had to do a return, it's almost like cringeworthy and saying, the experience sucks for a lot of times. But
Yes.
at that particular point in time, both Amazon, Lazada, and majority of the e-commerce sort of businesses were offering free returns. Obviously, coming on the back of COVID, the revenues just surged, and they didn't want that surge of revenue to go down. So
Hmm.
they were offering obviously a lot of freebies to companies, brands alike, and most importantly, customers. And we were trying to solve the problem in a way, like I mentioned, is what insure tech. So we were saying that we will give the end consumers instant returns or refunds, even before the return is picked up from them, or as the goods exchange hands between the
Hmm.
courier company and the individual. They will get a refund instantly, and then we
Mm.
underwrite it using insurance to then, whenever it gets back to the merchant, and then they issue us a refund, we basically get a cut out of that. So think of it from a perspective of we handle all the hassles for the brand in terms of the return process, and effectively the insurance company gets a cut and the startup retains a certain value.
Mm,
So we had about 15 vendors signed up. We processed roughly over 600 orders before we kind of hit a point where we said, hey, we run out of money. We can sign up more customers, but we're trying. The more we understood of the problem, we are saying that the sticking point is not so much about whether they value our service or not. They did. It was more around what were they willing to pay for it. And at the moment, it
mm,
was free for the end consumer. It was only the merchants who were getting charged, and they were like, well, we are better off consolidating with an Amazon or Lazada, who, yes, they take a 30 to 40% cut from the revenue stream because of everything that they do,
mhm.
including forward and return logistics, but then they handle payments, they handle a bunch of other stuff. So we kind of were priced out at that particular point in time. But now, obviously, we'll roll forward 2 or 3 years, even as back as 2023, 2024. You had Amazon charge in Singapore at least $8 for a return, Lazada charge $3 or $4 for a return, and so on. So maybe the timing was wrong. Maybe that concept still has a space, but nevertheless, lots of learnings and a lot of ideation and a lot of connects as a result of that. So yeah.
So yeah, it sounds like yeah, it was just a bad timing, right? Obviously during COVID, online shopping was huge, and of course, when you have online shopping, there's going to be necessary returns. So I could definitely see why you guys got funded, and there was initial traction there. But what was the key learning from that situation that you would give advice to people, who are pursuing similar paths? Yeah.
I won't go into the cliches of startups are hard, fake it till you make it and stuff like that. I think those are very well documented, and a lot of people would have said a lot of good things about those, right?
Yeah.
Um, I do believe that, and I would not call myself a successful entrepreneur in any sort of in any sort of realm of possibility. I am not. I'm a struggling entrepreneur at best. Um, but there is something about being an entrepreneur that is apart from all the glitz and the glamour that you see people doing exits and stuff like that, right?
Hmm.
There is a lot of empowerment that it gives an individual, right? So anybody who is wanting to try it out, I would say do it. It's never too late. But
Hmm.
if you can, do it early in your life, because it teaches you so many things that no matter what you do, even working at a Series B, Series C sort of startup will not teach you those many things as much as it would if you were to do something on your own.
Right.
And it doesn't have to be a full-time thing. You can do a side gig, you can do a side hustle, get into that way. And again, several people would have documented that in terms of how to start a side hustle in 2025 and beyond. But I would say for anyone who is thinking about it, do it, because it will change your life. No, for better or worse, doesn't matter, but it will change your life for sure.
100%, man. You learn so many new skills when you're starting a business, right? And it's something where you don't know everything. It's all about having that curiosity to continuously learn, right? What are some things that you learned throughout your startup journey at Antler that you didn't know before?
So again, you kind of hear a lot about, hey, having a skill match with your co-founders is extremely important.
Mm,
Being on the right wavelength, not just that, not just in terms of you know um, skills competency, which is important, but even outside of work, even sort of in terms of your personalities, even in terms of what you like, you don't like. I mean, you don't have to be best buds with your co-founders, but at the same time, them each other, and we had three of us at that time, right? But each other, understanding each other's priorities, where you are in your life, where what is important, what is not important, all those things that Antler kind of preaches and teaches are extremely important, right?
mm,
Whenever you are building at such an early stage, right, where your idea, your problem you're trying to solve is not validated, the way you're solving it is not validated.
mhm,
It's an idea at the best, and that is something that you again read a lot, you hear people talk a lot, but until you've been through that process, and Antler is a really good sort of way to get through that process, you would not totally 100% appreciate it.
right.
um, the second thing I think Antler really taught me was ideas alone are pretty worthless.
Hmm.
You get them dime for a dozen. And again, you might say, oh, but how can that be? I'm trying to solve this wonderful thing in AI, which is the new buzzword, or you're trying to do wonderfully well in deep tech, or wonderfully well in crypto, which was the case back in 2021, 2022.
Hmm.
Um, this is the next best thing since sliced bread. How can you say that ideas are worthless? Because that is really, really true, that how you execute on it is the most important thing. So in corporate world, you do not share things simply because there are people who will backstab you. There are people who are waiting for you to fall and stuff like that. In startups, that concept itself doesn't exist, right? The
Right.
more you discuss about an idea, the more validation you get, the more understanding of the problem you get. And of course, you need to discuss with the right people. Don't get me wrong. Don't
Yeah.
just run behind VCs, talk to your customers, keep close to the customers. All of the right things, even if you do, there is no harm in telling people about what you're trying to do, because you might think where you come from in a corporate world that, hey, that's a bad thing because you're always kind of watching behind your back. But when you're building a startup, the more validation you get from your customers, from the people who are going to pay for what you're building, the better it is for you. And the earlier you do it, the better it is for you.
I couldn't agree more, man. Just a little bit, let's go back to in terms of like in the corporate environment. The
Yep.
reason why you don't share about what you're working on in a corporate environment is because in a corporation, they have more resources to actually act upon the secrets that you're giving them, right? When you're a
True.
startup and you're telling your idea to other startup founders or maybe customers or investors, that's what you need to do, right? Because if you don't talk about your idea, then you can't get feedback on it. You can't
Yep.
get other people interested in it. You can't refine your pitch, right? You can't gain interest from other investors. So I 100% agree with what you just said. I think it's super important. A lot of people are very jaded. They're like, or shaded, right?
Because corporates teach you that, man, because
Hmm.
you discuss in a meeting something you're trying to, or something you're thinking about, and then that gets plagiarized and somebody else will kind of tout it as original work.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're
Yeah.
absolutely spot on that the resources that you have, especially in bigger tech companies, are way, way, way more than what you would see in a startup,
Hmm.
who don't know, for example, sometimes when the next paycheck is going to come from or where it's going to come from. So yeah.
100%, man. 100%. And being in that corporate environment, you've been able to see both sides, right? Working in a startup and being in a corporate environment. When I worked for a recruitment company, it was a big corporate as well. And we go to events with other recruiters. We couldn't talk about some of the candidates or the clients that we were working with because they could easily go ahead and talk to them as well. So I definitely think it depends on where you are in terms of which corporation. But yeah, you should, as a startup, tell everyone, right? That's the whole point.
Even competition, and that's where people kind of think, hang on, how is that even set? Well, the fact that two people are working on the same problem, you might have totally different approaches to this, like in terms
Hmm.
of solution to the problem. It
Yep.
is validation that the problem you're trying to solve is big enough, right? And when the
Exactly.
people will say,
Yes.
yeah, but first mover advantage, this and that. I said, I'm not denying any of that. But the point is, a first mover advantage is that you can build a moat on that if
Mm.
you are at a certain size, right? So if you have 1 million, 2 million worth of ARR, and then you're thinking, oh, should I be sharing this idea with somebody who has got, let's say, 500,000 of ARR, right?
Mm.
I still be kind of saying, yeah, there's a bit iffy. But when you're in early stage, you are at pre-seed or seed, doesn't matter. I mean, the
Yeah.
more you talk, even if somebody says, I'm working on exactly the same problem statement you have, great. That's validation itself for me.
Exactly, exactly. I heard this one quote that's really good. I forget who said it, but a plan without action is just a speech, right? So if you have an idea, right, but you don't take action on it, then you're just speaking, 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 right? And I couldn't agree more. Execution is everything, especially in startups. I've seen that throughout all three cohorts that I've done. The people who always get funded are the ones who actually make week on week progress. And it
Yeah.
sounds like you and your team did. So, speaking of your team, I wanted to chat to you a little bit about how you came together with your co-founders at the beginning. What was that kind of conversation like, and what attracted you to join up with those two other people?
Yeah, so obviously Antler helps you with that. I think with the icebreaker sessions and the assignments that you get, and the problems that they give as hypotheticals, or even sometimes they have LPs or other investors who are keen to understand a specific space, or um, they will have these cohorts where there's focus on AI, for example, focus on green tech, focus on crypto, and so on. Um, just for clarity, we were not part of one of those cohorts, but the fact is, those problem statements are out there in the open. And in our cohort, Antler even partnered with Siam Commercial Bank (SCB) from Thailand, where there was an ask of focusing on a few interested areas that SCB was interested in. And again, those activities that we did helped us understand people more, helped us
Mm,
understand who were there at the same time in terms of potential co-founder material and so on. And then it is more about who do you have a comfort factor with, who you can relate to, with whom can you short circuit a lot of that um, storming, norming, forming, performing kind of, as a team, right? Even if it's a team of
mm-hmm,
2 or 3, didn't matter. Who you could do that easily with. And yeah, that's how Mick and Queenie and I got together, and we complemented each other's skills. I was more from business side, but I had done coding before. That's how I started my life. Mick was an ex Zoogler basically,
mm-hmm,
who was a performance marketing guy, and Queenie was was doing the operation side of it, which was really extremely important from an e-commerce perspective. So
mm,
yeah, we kind of worked on a couple of projects together, and this was not all three of us together, but before we kind of committed to it, we did work on one idea together, which was nothing related to e-commerce returns, but we kind of went through the grind of saying, how quickly can we ideate, how much can we hustle, what's the hustle factor, do we really complement each other, not in terms of skills, but also personalities, and what we wanted from each other. And again, Antler provides the framework, provides the opportunity. It is up to the individuals for sort of to walk the path, so to speak. So
mm, exactly. And when you guys, the company that you had done, the e-commerce company, when that kind of fizzled out, did you guys work together to try and find out the next idea, or how did that ending happen between the three of
um, so the like Antler always says, right? When you're killing an idea, or it's almost like a breakup, right?
you?
In
Yes.
real.
Yes.
So, and they kind of really stress upon that. We didn't quite have that extreme of a reaction. We had one of the persons, Queenie, who became actually a member of parliament in
Oh, cool.
so, she went back, and she was not from Singapore, so she headed back, and I think she's managing one of Ministry of Education or something like that.
Good job.
And yeah, so that happened. Mick actually was the one who continued pursuing the idea. I went about my own ways, but he also couldn't get his validation post that, because he said, I'll make it Thailand specific. He's originally from Thailand, although he's a Singapore NPR, but he's
Mm,
originally Thailand. So he said, let me go and see if I can, because we had, out of the 15 customers, we had about 8 people who had signed up from Thailand, 8 merchants. So we thought, hey, maybe, it's a more
mm,
localized thing first. And he wanted to pursue on that. But yeah, we didn't really have like a breakup as such. People
right.
went their own paths, but we are still in touch. And we occasionally, if people are in Singapore, we catch up over drink. And yeah.
That's what I love about Antler, right? I'm still connected with everyone from all three of my cohorts.
Exactly. Yeah.
We can just call each other up or, see each other whenever in each other's cities and have a great conversation because Antler was a struggle, man. I don't know about you, but like in Vietnam, like the first one that I did, it was like boot camp. It was like they were very serious about like being on time and like getting all your
Yes.
stuff done and everything like that. So it was like a struggle.
They put you through that discipline, because without that, people would just do what they want to do,
Mm,
and then you wouldn't have time bound activities. And they call it like serial dating in terms of everybody in the cohort, and they do arrange structured sort of sessions, with an end goal in mind, that you get to meet as many new people as possible. And that
right.
again was well, not alien to me, because I worked in sales in a corporate job. So
Mhm.
you're more comfortable meeting people, talking to them about, but then you're pitching a product or pitching a brand, right? But when you talk about yourself, because you are the brand, that you're trying to sell as a co-founder,
Yeah,
it's kind
exactly.
of different. It's kind of hard. So again, there's a lot of unlearning and learning, even in those icebreaker sessions as well. And of course, there were some people who took it seriously, some people who didn't bother, and So
Yeah.
you get again, people from all walks of life, and people who have different underlying sort of objectives when it comes to even why join Antler in the first place. So it was quite interesting that day. So
Absolutely, man. The most tiring activity was the speed dating for me. Like we had like 80 people in the cohort, and it's just like you have to speak to every single person. I was so happy when I didn't have to do it in Japan. There wasn't like we didn't have to do it like to that degree in Japan. We only I think that day I only talked to about like half the cohort instead
yeah.
of the whole cohort, which was much nicer, to be honest, much nicer. But
Yeah,
yeah.
we had this thing where we had like we had restrictions in Singapore, as you may know, like not more than X number of people could get in one place
Ah,
and
yes,
stuff like
during
that. So
COVID, that's right.
yeah, we had a lot of online sessions, so online was more comfortable for people at that time, and then it was very hard to kind of commit to co-founder unless you have met. And of course, you could meet, but only after you decided, hey, I'm going to work with you, Lee. So let's meet for a coffee or whatever, or each other's homes. There were
Mm.
no particular restriction in terms of social gatherings as such. Beyond like if it's
Right.
just 2 or 3 people, that was fine. I think you were allowed 2 visitors in a day or something like that. But
Mm.
crazy times, man. But yeah, it was
Yeah.
still fun. Was still fun.
COVID was absolutely insane. Absolutely. So that's glad that you guys got through it and you're able to be successful in that program. But now I want to talk about New Deal Network and what you're kind of trying to do right now. Where did this idea come from and why are you so passionate about solving it?
So I have my day job with a company called Veracity Consulting, which is part of a Nasdaq listed company called RGP. And obviously, we were trying to solve a sales problem in terms of how do you improve go to market motions for consulting businesses, right? And whilst working on that, I said, hey, look, why is it that startups struggle in terms of scaling? Of course, when you look at any startup in the beginning, they rely on word of mouth publicity. They have no brand, they have no presence. They have, founders will have bring their own brands for sure, and they will bring the connects. But it is through a referral that startups earn their first customers.
Mm.
And through again there that those initial set of customers, whether big or small, irrelevant, but again through their referrals they're going to get more customers. And once enough amount of customers have happened, only then the startup founders focus on, hey, let's build a brand, let's build a sales function, some sort of a GTM, some sort of customer success, where whether you're building a product or a service, irrelevant of what you're building, you will put dedicated resource to it, sales, marketing, brand building, and so on. But as the startup matures into more of a brand or even a company, or hopefully a listed company, they forget their roots, in that sense that people then don't go back to referral marketing. But we said, well, if you and today's day and age, people are so hyper connected. So we're like, why do we give free advice or free recommendations in terms of service or products? What if people could earn off those free service recommendations or product proposals that they give, right? So case in point, you come to me and said, hey, Shaunak, have you worked on any decent CRM solutions of late, right? um, I may not know about a CRM solution, but I can log on to NewDeal Network and say, hey, are there any good CRM solutions? And then I could recommend it to you. Um, I could, of course, do a bit more research. I mean, these days with ChatGPT and all the LLMs that are there, you can become a product expert very very quickly. But the platform does offer a bit more than just what an LLM would offer you in terms of tailored sort of recommendations in terms of what a product does, or you could have a specific specialization. You're in a specific vertical like financial services or customer support or whatever, and it will pick out the products that are relevant to you. And it's a success based network. So if a sale is made for the product or service, and we have all kinds of products and services on the network, you basically earn a commission on the back of that. So it is one of those passive income streams that anybody could build with a decent network. And the network doesn't have to be sales network, right? It is a network of professionals, right? So you could be a
Mm.
techie and 5 or 10 other developers, and they all, you connect on a common theme from your past life or whatever. You could still make a recommendation via that way and still earn a commission. So you don't have to be a sales professional to be a NewDeal Network member. So yeah.
Interesting. So, yeah, I'm trying to understand it for myself, right? Because it
Sure.
sounds very, very interesting. I think, me being here in Japan, I needed to make as many connections as possible because I didn't know anyone here. So going to events, hosting events, and I have a wide variety of people in my network now. What you're saying is New Deal Network would allow people like me who are connectors, people who are
Yes.
trying to connect other people to actually profit off of that.
Absolutely. So brands, there are brands. So we have about 50 plus brands right now on the platform. Each brand offers a certain amount of commission for a successful referral. The brands fix the commission. So the commission range anywhere between 2% to as much as 45%. So there's
Mm.
a very wide range. Average is somewhere between 10 and 15%, just to give you a flavor. But brands are willing to offer that as a of the deal size as a commission for anyone who's making a successful referral. So depending on the size of the network, we see members who are earning somewhere between 1,000 to all the way up to $10,000 on a single deal, man. That's
Oh,
quite
wow.
attractive. So yeah.
Wow. So let's say I'm a startup company and I
Yep.
want another avenue of increasing my sales. How
Yep.
do I get started with New Deal Network, or do I need to know somebody who's a New Deal Network member already?
No, so you can sign up as a brand. You can simply sign up, even as individuals sign up. It's completely free to sign up. There are no charges. You list your product or service on the platform, and anyone who is a member of the network will then be informed about the product. If they have a lead, they submit a lead to you, and that lead is passed on directly to the startup. And
Mm.
you agree. So you sign an agreement with NewDeal Network saying what's the referral commission they're willing to pay out, so we can handle the payments and stuff like that. But you basically get informed of a lead if somebody generated a lead for you, and you manage then. Again, you can decide whether you want to be in control of the sale process, the whole sale, or you want to let the referrer manage the sale, because they are more connected to the person that they're referring to,
Mm.
and then that way they can do that, and you can just support with demos, product overviews, and things like that. And once a sale is done, only then you pay that individual. So yeah.
Very, very interesting. Is this more for B2B customers, or do you have more B2C customers?
So we originally started with the hypothesis that only B2B SaaS companies will have this kind of a product led sort of a model, because we had seen our market research showed that only B2B companies offer that. But we have made some exceptions in a variety of things. So like, for example, there is a D2C brand which is purely focused on tech-focused baby products, and
Mm.
they are on the network, right? So you could order a smart baby or a smart device for your toddler, and which is environmentally friendly, which is friendly for the toddler as well, without harming them, right? We have somebody who is offering commissions on solar installations for a 10-year lease. So your commission doesn't have to be one off. It could be over a bigger period. We have somebody who is developed or who's built a edge services sort of a network within India. So they are offering hosting spaces in over 2,300 locations in India itself, so that you could do edge services. So you could find them a place to lease or host their rack. They will pay you referral fee. So it's not just B2B SaaS, but we started there, and now we have kind of diversified into that. Another interesting is medical tourism. People are paying referral commissions for recommending and referring patients to hospitals in India and Thailand. So there you go.
Wow, man. Actually, one of the startup founders in my last cohort in Vietnam, they were trying to do just something like that, set up like so it's easy to do medical tourism. So
Yes.
that's really cool that you can actually do that on your website. So, I guess what's your plan for the future for New Deal Network? Where do you want to scale to? And I guess how do you plan to do that? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like I mentioned, the Win call, it's a passion project for now. It's something that I'm passionate about as a sales individual, helping companies grow and what they sell and how they sell. Um, the way I want to grow is through the network itself. We want
Mm.
to encourage people referring other people onto the platform. So we have a referrer of referrers. Sorry for the tongue twister, but
Yeah.
we have the ability for someone like you who's well connected to promote it as well, and you get a commission on the back of any other sale that is made via the platform. So it's totally passive. You don't have to do anything, nor
Mm.
you have to refer people, which is what you are strong at. And
Mm.
basically, we want to both for businesses and individuals alike. we want to make it as easy and as frictionless as possible to
Right.
be able to transact, or you know give a reference and essentially get a referral fee on the back of that. As and when, if it gains more traction, then you kind of look at it's a more of a full-time thing. But at this point in time, no plans for that. My co-founder Adrian, though, he is fully committed to the project, and he's the techie behind the scenes. So he's been developing the platform, developing that totally seamless way that people interact as well as brands interact. So whenever somebody gets a lead, they get automatically informed, and when the lead gets closed, then the payments are also automatically processed. So all of that is his work. So yeah, cool guy.
Sounds like a
Invited.
really amazing solution you guys got going on there. Yeah, I think that I'd be very interested in learning a little bit more about it later,
Sure.
and seeing if I could potentially help you promote it here in Japan. There's a lot of companies in Japan here that struggle with getting their first B2B client, obviously for cultural and language reasons, but also not knowing who to contact, right?
Yes.
That's the main thing I think startups really struggle with is they know, okay, here's the organizational chart, but who's the right person to contact in some of these larger enterprise. So if New Deal can help with that, that would be huge, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's connect over that for sure.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I do have a question about company like your company versus Product Hunt. Do you know
Yeah.
about Product Hunt?
Yes, of course, of
Yeah,
course.
what is the main difference there? Is Product Hunt just a website where new products are just shown, or is there actually affiliate links as well there?
So with Product Hunt specifically, it only is kind of means and ways of looking at which product is better than the other, right? So number one on Product Hunt is means a lot to especially for B2B startups, because you get your product listed there, and then people upvote it based on how useful it is or how useful it's not. So it's good for getting um, technical validation and kind of getting your name out there. And there are other product comparison websites out there as well, G2 performance reviews and so on. So um, we have a similar, or a competitor would be someone like a partner stack. So partner stack, but what partner stack does is solves the problem of managing partners for businesses, right? So
Mm,
when somebody wants to sell via a referral channel, then they go to partner stack and list their product there. And partner stack has got, but partner stack again is B2B only, meaning you and I as individuals cannot go and sign up on partner stack. So you need
ah,
to be a company to be able to sign up and then earn referral commissions on the back of that. So
I see.
but that would be a close competitor to something like NewDeal Network. Yeah.
Thank you for that insight. It sounds like a really cool solution for startups that really desperately need sales, right? So I wanted to ask you now about, I guess, what you think the future is going to be like with all these new AI agents, right? How do you think they're going to affect your industry, your sales industry, and also New Deal Network in the future potentially?
Yeah. So I think the whole agentic AI sort of era that is upon us, and in some industries like sales, for example, is already behind us, in the sense not behind, we are truly in it. uh,
Mm,
it's only going to make the importance of um, uh, personal connects come to fore, right? Because what's happening right now is let's say there, for argument's sake, like let's say there are about 10,000 new startups that are wanting to get into selling more stuff, or selling them, making their first deal next week, next month, whatever. You can put any time frame around it, right? Like every week there is X number of startups who are getting in. Let's say all of them say that, hey, I'm going to deploy an AI agent, and there will be, again, there is an industry out there which are helping people basically sell using agentic AI to book a meeting, to kind of get leads, etc. The AI is going to learn from what it's been learning so far, in terms of how do you get that the perfect sort of cold calling email, or that perfect introduction email, so that somebody will sort of do an action of booking a meeting or booking a call. And imagine now that I gave you a 10,000 number. It could be anything, could be 100, could be 1,000, could be a million. You're going to
mm,
get times 10,000 times million similar sounding emails or similar looking emails, and all
yes.
could be very compelling. Don't get me wrong, right? I'm not taking anything away from that agentic AI, or the AI itself. how many of them are you going to actually react to saying, because you will be like, hang on, this has become like the norm, right?
Yeah.
But if a Lee calls me and says, hey, Shaunak, how are you doing? And I discuss a real life problem with him and you recommend something to me, I'm more often than not likely to respond to that rather than a bunch of emails that I've been getting from AI agents or even calls. These days, you have voice agents as well who actually call, but you know that you're talking to an AI or you can guess. So for something like New Deal for specifically, it's actually a good thing that people will get fatigued from AI, agentic AI, and they will rely more on human connections and more on referrals, which is what we are trying to promote.
Mm.
But in terms of a disruption, I think this is the next wave of disruption that we have. Um, have we reached a peak moment yet? I don't believe so. I think there is a lot more to go. We are just scratching the surface of what AI can do. It will change every single industry, no matter what it is. Um, Coincidentally, this morning there was Mark Andreessen from A16Z saying that VCs are not going to be impacted. I seriously doubt it.
Yeah.
People are debating about it. How easy is VC's job to kind of
Yeah.
that this will be one of the first few agents, sorry, industry that will be impacted. But I truly do not believe that there's any industry out there, ranging from agriculture to medicine to tech to everything. Everyone will be impacted with AI. I have no doubt about it.
Oh, 100%. It's just how, to what degree, right? And like you said about sales, especially, everyone can tell right away when they're talking to a robot
Yes,
for the most part, right?
exactly, exactly.
But like you said, the human connection, I think, is something that people underestimate.
Yes.
They have these ones that sound really human,
Yeah.
but they can't relate to human-like things.
Yep.
So, and if something's outside of out of bounds in terms of the conversation, the structure that it learns about, then I think it would have trouble with that. Whereas a human might be able to relate with it a lot better. I don't see AI replacing sales right away. You can do internet sales like email, like you said, and can lead to more conversions and stuff. But over the phone, I don't know. What about you?
It can. I mean, it can replace certain activities. So, for example, inbound, right? If somebody is saying, "Hey, I'm calling into a company and I'm saying, I need help navigating," saying, hey, I want to buy something off, but do you have it in size X rather
Ah,
than
okay.
size Y, or do you have a different sort of color, or can I fast track an order by paying more or whatever? So those kind of customizations, I think AI can handle it brilliantly because it can do stock checks, it can check the inventory, it can even place a purchase order if need be, or a manufacturing request, depending on the kind of business you are in. It can do all of that, right? I don't think that for inbound there's a problem. Even for outbound, it can work seamlessly, like, but too much of it is going to be a problem, right? So
Mm,
in early days, you would have heard, for example, AI selling properties in real estate just via phone calls. So that people have already experimented that and been there, done that on the t-shirt, that kind of.
right.
But as it kind of gets bigger and bigger and more people start adopting it, especially SMEs, you're going to reach a we're going to reach a fatigue factor very, very soon. So
Yeah.
um, can it be impactful? I think it can be impactful, especially with the next sort of 12 to 15 months. Beyond that, it will have to evolve for AI itself to remain relevant in that particular point in time, and kind of for it to stand out beyond what other agentic AI frameworks do. So yeah.
Yeah, I think as you were saying that, I was just had this image in my mind of like being able to upload an image of yourself and then having like an AI avatar of yourself,
Yes.
speaking with the AI speaking for you. Um, I think that would be abused, for example, for like job interviews.
Oh, people are already doing that. So yeah,
Are they actually?
they are absolutely doing that. So there's somebody else behind talking, but so there are proxy interviews that are being done by people who will then just like you know um, create AI avatars of them speaking, but actually somebody else is speaking or even giving the interview on their behalf. So yeah, that plagiarism is already happening.
My goodness, man. What a world we live in, huh? Nothing, we don't even know what's real anymore. It's crazy,
But
right?
it's a circle of life, I think. AI is, I can give you an example of Facebook reviews, right? For example, or whatever, Google reviews, doesn't matter. I mean, the brand is not important, right? You have AI learning of those reviews, and then all these reviews are auto-generated by AIs these days. So then people will actually pay money for, oh, this is a human review, so they will in not so distant future, I think you will start getting to see reviews or things which are, oh, this is a human, you're guaranteed to speak to a human, people will pay a premium for that. Yeah.
My goodness, man. Now, when you bring that up, I remember when ChatGPT first came out, I was speaking to somebody. We were having like kind of a little disagreement over text, and this person was a non-native speaker.
Right.
And I could tell right away when he started using like AI to respond to me.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, is this person really doing this right now? You're using AI to respond to me? And I had to call him out and be like, hey, please don't do that, man. Respond to me with your own words, you know? So I can imagine, I can see where this is going, where we don't know who's really talking to us and who's not talking to us.
I think we will get to a point in time where you will have to verify that you are a human and things like. I mean, it's happened again. I don't need to kind of prophesy something that has not already happened. I give an example. Manufacturing has undergone automation, not AI, but automation before, right? And we have now a premium for handmade goods because the automated versions are the ones that are cheap. They're mass produced, they're cheap, they're great. Don't get me wrong, the quality is fantastic. But people pay a premium for handmade goods because they know that they will be imperfect, but it is a one of one, or it is one of many that artist or the creator has created. So we've already seen that in the industrial revolution. Why do you think that it will not repeat itself? It will repeat itself. It's cyclical nature of life. So I do not doubt that it will happen again.
Crazy, man. Yeah, hopefully the future of AI and stuff will uh, create more jobs than it takes away, and that we can all, keep our skills up so that we can ride that wave along with it.
Absolutely.
Really great discussion, man. I was wondering if there's anything that we didn't talk about that you think we should have talked about in today's episode.
Um, Nothing that particularly comes to mind. I think you're doing a fantastic job of sort of having a collection of Antler founders who've been through the journey, and trying to spread that word, spread that awareness about Antler, about their experiences and what can be done. And again, your work in helping Japanese startup scale is phenomenal. And I really sincerely do hope that we can get a chance to work together at New Deal, just so that because I've sold to large Japanese companies in my SAP career, and I know how hard it is.
Yeah, it is very
And
hard.
well, how hard it is until you get them as a first customer, and how lucrative it is afterwards. So I
Yeah.
I, I do understand that. So I've been through that cycle myself. So good luck, and hope we do get to kind of work on a few interesting projects in the future.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much for the kind words. We do have a closing tradition on this podcast where the last guest left a question for you and you'll leave a question for the next guest. Are you ready for your question?
All right, let's go.
All right, cool, man. So the question that was left for you is, if your life were a movie, what would the title be?
There was this. Probably I need to look it up. There was this Tom Cruise movie where he relives this every single day for.
Yes, I know that one. Yeah.
So it's effectively that until you kind of figure life out, and then it goes forward. And I've seen that kind of deja vu for several times in my life.
Ah, what about Deja Vu?
Deja vu is a good one. Yeah, sure.
Okay. So
Yeah,
I think Deja Vu. That's
deja
the
vu. Yeah.
okay. I like it. I like it. Can you explain a little bit in terms of why Deja Vu?
It is, sometimes, like I say, hindsight is 2020 vision. So, you have lived the moment, and you kind of think that, hey, if I had known that before, I would have probably made something different choice or a better choice, and so on. And especially the experience in the last 5 years in startup is that you actually get to experience the same thing over and over again, and
Mhm.
the lesser the mistakes you make, the better as a human being you are. But not just that, the better your company is and what you're trying to solve is. So you do get deja vu moments in life, and I think, yeah, that's what sort of summarizes my life in a sense.
Cool, man. That's a great title for a movie. I think there actually was a movie called that with I think Denzel Washington, but I never
Yes, it's
watched
great.
it. But
Yeah,
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 that's
yeah.
a,
It was pretty cool, pretty cool.
that's a good one. All right, cool. So now it's your turn. Now you will leave a question for the next guest. Can be about anything you like. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'll go with the life theme. If you are able to undo a mistake, that doesn't have to be in your startup or whatever, what would it be and why?
Oh, okay. That's a good one. That's a good one. This is going into people's regrets in life or things that they big mistakes in life that they made. That's a really interesting one to think about. Cool, man. Well, Shaunak, it's been a pleasure speaking to you. I'm really looking forward to having further discussions with you about New Deal Network and potentially expanding here to Japan. And I'm wishing you all the best with your startup journey and hopefully see you scale. Yes.
Thanks a lot, Lee, and thanks for having me on the podcast again.
That's a wrap for today's episode of the Product Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please don't forget to like and subscribe on YouTube, follow us on Spotify, or leave a review on Apple Podcasts. It really helps the channel grow. And if you want to share your PM stories, challenges, struggles, or insights with us on a future episode, please get in touch with us on LinkedIn. We'd love to have you on and keep this conversation going. Until next time, happy building, everyone.